Hey there, it's Kimberly here with Knit for Brains. And oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I got a new toy for Christmas from the Brit. I got a rigid Heddle Loom. So let's take a look. We're gonna unbox it, open it up, and try to figure it out. So stay tuned. Okay, so for Christmas, the Brit was like, I don't think you have enough looms in the house. I was like, you're probably right. I don't have enough looms. On the Lion Brand website, they were selling this Schacht flip loom with a 20-inch, so the loom width is 20 inches. Normally it was like $374 or something, and it was marked down to $165. And I thought, oh, good Lord, that is like the best Christmas deal bargain ever. It just arrived. We're gonna open it and take a look and see. So this is the 20-inch flip the folding loom, and we're gonna try to construct it right here. This is in our backyard. We've got a table that's the perfect size, and in my head and heart, this is where I see myself doing my weaving. Now this is what we call a rigid Heddle loom. There's lots of different types of looms, and we're gonna be covering a lot of them here on this channel, especially this year, as I am now getting into weaving. So I think when you start getting into knitting and crocheting, then you start getting interested, at least I did. I believe those kind of become your gateway, and then you start becoming interested in other forms of fiber arts. It could be embroidery, it could be yarn painting, it could be any number of things. For me, weaving became my new obsession. I'm still doing the crochet and the knitting, but I wanted to get into the weaving as well. So this isn't actually too big. As a matter of fact, they even have some bags that you can put this into and carry it with you. Just make sure we've got everything out of the box. Looks like we do. Off that goes. So I don't know what the setup is going to be like on this. This is the dent. So it comes with a 12-inch dent. And you can buy them in different sizes. So when you talk about the 12 inches or the measurements, what you're looking at is how many of these how many of the threads can you fit in a 1 inch? Okay, so this is 12. So this is going to be your smallest, and this is going to be your thinnest yarns. I did order a 10-inch, which means you're going to get less yarns coming through, which means you can use a larger yarn. That's the difference. But this is the standard 12-inch dent loop, or 12-inch dent. This is very exciting. There's some preparations with where the bubble wrap is. Now, the Schacht looms are very, very popular. I believe they come out of Oregon. I could be wrong. Maybe it'll tell me here on the information. Very well made looms. They make the rigid Heddle looms as well as the multi-shaft looms, which is what I have upstairs. Those are not mobile, but usually the rigid Heddle looms are fairly mobile. Well, this looks fairly simple. I think we might even be able to get something on the loom in the first day. So we're just going to cut this plastic off. So I have a smaller loom. And I also got that from Lion Brand. It was the Ashford Samplet loom. And the Samplet loom, I believe the width is like 10 inches. So it's not, when we say it's like, this is a 20-inch, but you have to account for the shortage you're going to have both as the garment that you're making shrinks inward and also on the length. So I'm not going to get a 20-inch piece of fabric out of the finished product. I'm going to start with a 20-inch, and it's probably going to be, you know, maybe you want to account for like an inch on each side. So maybe it's going to end up being like an 18-inch. Let us see what is inside here. So inside this booklet here, it talks about assembling, warping, and weaving, and it's called the Flip Loom. So included with this kit are the rigid Heddle, this guy here, the apron bars, the stick shuttles, the dowels, apron cords for the 20-inch looms. I'm going to have 8 of those. Lock knobs, dowel handles, basically everything we need to get started. And it explains the back of the loom and the front of the loom. So this is a lot because sometimes you actually have to go to YouTube and figure these out, so I'm very happy that I don't have to be doing that. Okay, and then it talks about choosing your warping method. So this video here, we're just going to talk about assembling this puppy. So I have my loom clamps here in a nice little bag. I have my locking knob, so I have 2 of those. My Heddle hook. This is what is going to pull my threads through my heddle. So it's either going to come through here, pull the yarn through, or the alternating, and you pull the yarn through. So on a variable, like I have upstairs, or the 4 shaft or the 8 shaft, whatever you have, they move up and down. And so depending on how you place your foot, moving the pedals, which are then connected to the different shafts, they move up and down, and that's how you get your different designs, because it's going to move the yarns up and down. With this instrument here, you've only got the one piece. So this is actually going to move up and down within the loom. And as it moves up and down, it's going to change the placement of the yarns. But the yarns are going to go through each one of these. So your pattern for what you're making is going to come as a result of where the yarns are placed in the rigid heddle. So this guy here is, and this is actually really nice. The ones I've gotten in the past were just cheapy little plastic things. So this actually feels pretty good. Then we've got our stick shuttles, which are down here. So these are called your stick shuttles. And what you're going to do with these is you're going to wrap your yarn. So you're going to have your weft and your warp yarn. And your weft is what is going to go back and forth and create the pattern. And you're going to wrap it. Think of this as like a bobbin. So this is actually going to wrap around, and you're going to thread it through the machine sideways this way. So that's what's going to go on there. Additionally, I have some other little pieces to put this whole puppy together. These are dowel handles and screws. The loom clamps, which is going to clamp it to a table, or you can get a specially fitted stand, like I mentioned, for this particular loom. It's not gonna be just any stand. You want one that's going to fit this loom. So Schacht has a stand that fits. So here's all the parts that come with the loom, and we're about to assemble it. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you know which was the front and the back. The dowel handles are going to be towards you, so this is going to be the front of the loom. The back of the loom is back over here. So I have 2 of these with a little screw. You want to secure each dowel with a screw in 2 places. So it's over here. I've already inserted one. I'm going to put in the second one, and there's a little guide hole. So as I place it in, I'm going to place my little screw inside here. Oops. Use my Phillips head screwdriver. And go ahead and put this guy in. And then it actually was pretty simple. You just sort of, and it just finds the hole. I know the hole's in. I'm just going to go ahead and tighten it up. This one's tight. So we'll check this one. Now these are your T-knobs up here. These are what's going to help keep it in place if you are folding it. So these are a little bit tight. So what I have to do is just loosen these like so, and then now this is going to flip and totally open up. So when you close it to travel, you just bring it forward like this, lock it down in place, and then you can travel with it. Right now we're going to go ahead and open it up and leave it open. So then it says to pull on the cloth and warp beams to completely unfold the loom. Insert the lock knobs on each side. So the lock knobs are these guys here. And there's going to be one on either side, and it's going to go just in front of that T-knob. So we're going to put it in right here. It should go right through. And it should be all good. Okay, those are good. Tighten all the lock knobs and the T-knobs. So we've got those, and we're going to tighten these guys up here. We're going to tighten this guy up over here. All right. Turn the loom over so it rests on its legs. These here are your legs. So we're going to turn it over so it's now resting on its legs. Now we want to attach the apron cords to the cloth and the work beams. So these are, these are the apron cords to the cloth and the warp beams. Okay. And I have a bunch of these guys. Okay. So I've attached my apron cords through a beam hole, and then I'm going to slide this 3 16" dowel through the first complete loop of an apron cord. And the complete loop, you can see there's little loops here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it through there. Okay, so now these are all attached, dowels in place. It says fold the cord about 4 inches from the free end and insert the fold through the first complete loop at the free end of the cord. So I've created a loop. So I loop it through and just bring it like so. Okay, so now I've created these little loops up on top, or at the ends rather. Then I'm going to take one of these apron bars, and I have 3, and I'm going to insert it through these loops here. 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there's 4. So these line up just like this. Oh, that's right. Okay. Repeat steps 2 and 3 for each cord. Ha! So, looks like I do the same thing on the back end. I've got 4 and 4. Perfect. I'm going to take these guys, the dowel, the apron bar, the same thing like I said. It's going to go through here. I'm going to take the dowel and go through that first complete loop. And go back through here. Go through the next complete loop on the next apron cord. Bring that through. And I'm going to open this one. Another complete loop. Go here. And last one is here. All right, so those are on. Oops, okay. Bring you over, bring you down. You go into the hole. Here we go. All right, so these guys are gonna get pulled nice and tight. There we go. I'm just gonna move that so it lines up with the hole. Move this way over. And this one moves way over here. And we're going to pull those through. So now they're nice and taut, just like the other side. Now we're going to take that loop, we're going to double back around, find that complete loop, have this apron cord come through that first complete loop, there we go. So making that loop, putting my apron bar in there, and do the same thing 3 more times. Okay, so now I've attached my apron bar, and you can just make it a little bit taut. like so, and we're set. Excellent. All right, so that guy goes there. So this one is extra for certain lashing methods, which I don't know what that means, so we're not going to worry about it. We're just going to, but we're not going to toss it. And that's it. Well, that was pretty easy. All right. Now the other pieces here included are, these are your clamps to clamp your loom to your table and or your loom stand, if that's what you've got. This is my warping peg. So this is going to go at the end of the table, and as if I am doing, there's two types of dressing your loom. You can either do it indirectly, which means you do it somewhere separate. You bring your warp over and then you thread it onto your machine. Or there's the direct method, which means you use this as your warping peg and you attach it to a far end. You wrap the yarn around it and then you directly warp, or you directly dress your loom straight on. That'll be in part 2. But basically what's going to happen with this guy is it's going to go onto a block just like this. You're going to use this clamp, and this is going to fit through here, and then we attach a wing nut at the bottom, one of these guys. So depending on the width of your table, this will fit at the end of the table, and then you just clamp it down, so forth. There are little holes at the end of my loom that this fits right into, and then you just clamp it on using the wing nut to the back of the table, to the loom. Okay. So I have to say, it's pretty straightforward assembly. I mean, it took all of just basically attaching the apron cords and the apron bar, and then just unfolding it. So here you have it. This is the finished construction, really very simple, of the Schacht flip 20-inch loom. Part 2, we're actually going to be dressing the loom and maybe starting our weaving. Please like and subscribe this video, but stay tuned for part 2 when we actually start dressing this loom. This is Kimberly with Knit and Weaving for Brains. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you soon.